the game, the big game, because we can't call it the Super Bowl. All these advertisements, we can't call it the Super Bowl. It's got to be the big game. Not the Super Bowl. It's the big game. It's a big game. I'll get to that in a second, Detroit fan. We got to talk the Super Bowl really quick, and then we'll get to the comments. All right. KC, Philly, rematch. So the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. Oddly enough, also on Fox. So this is kind of weird how that ended up working out. Looking at just the spread, according to ESPN Bet, Kansas City, 1.5, minus 1.5. So 2-point favorites, basically a coin flip. However, weirdly enough, ESPN Analytics favors the Eagles. They got the Eagles with a 56.1% chance of winning the game to the Chiefs' 43.9%. Now, on the Chiefs side, Mahomes is Michael Jordan. But, unlike Michael Jordan, this year wasn't really that great of a year for him. I guess I don't know how good of a year this year was for Michael Jordan, but not a great year statistically. 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, just a little under 4,000 yards. I believe those are career low. That's a career low in yards for him. But in the playoffs, at least last couple of weeks ago, in the AFC Championship game, put together a really solid game. Didn't make a whole lot of mistakes. Had a couple of rushing touchdowns. Had a passing touchdown as well. He has shown his ability to just take over a game as he does. If you can take advantage of the turnovers, which he has been prone to give up, given the 11 interceptions, and he also had a fumble against the Bills there in the AFC Championship game as well. That is where you can really take control of this game if you're Philly. Now, on the rushing side for Kansas City, this is where it's a little bit of a committee. Their leading rusher of the year was Kareem Hunt, who is basically just a goal line guy at this point. He's, for the most part, he should not be, bursting out with 20, 30-yard rushes every few plays. He's really not that kind of a player anymore. I don't know that he ever really was that kind of a player, but he certainly is going to be a threat at the goal line. He's not a nobody, right? He's not Ty Johnson, for example. Shout out Bills. And then on the receiving end, Travis Kelce is their leading receiver. What can I say about Travis Kelce that hadn't already been said? He's probably the best postseason tight end / receiver ever. I like they show that stat basically every year. I think the only guy who might be better than him in terms of pure statistical measurements is Jerry Rice. Like, that's the kind of guy we're talking about for Travis Kelce. He's an elite weapon, and he's in a class of his own, especially when it's the playoffs. If you're Philadelphia, you cannot let this guy start to get hot. I remember the first half against the 49ers in last Super Bowl, he didn't really do much. But in the second half, he started to become a little bit more active. Again, maybe my memory is faded on this, but he is a threat, all right? Do not let the less than 1,000 yards and only 3 touchdowns on the year and less than 100 catches on the year, make you think he's just past his prime. He's not, all right? He still has a lot of football left. He's still very, very scary on the offensive side. So, yeah. The Chiefs, offensively on the year, have not been all that good. But, listen, this is postseason. At this point, I'm just left to believe that postseason Chiefs are just real. They just turn it on in the playoffs. They don't care about the regular season. They just care about, once they make the playoffs, about going to win the Super Bowl. And that's just sort of how they've lived the last couple of seasons. Now, on the Eagles side, because they're the team that I guess we're a little bit less familiar with, although for the most part, they were just in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, but it wasn't that long ago. Jalen Hurts, again, not having an amazing year. He did miss some time due to injury, but less than 3,000 yards on the year, 18 touchdowns to 5 picks. Jalen Hurts, for pretty much the whole year, I've been saying that, like, he really hasn't had a game where I was like, wow, that's why you paid him the way you did. But he also really hasn't ever played a game where you're like, wow, why did you pay him that much? Like, he's played games where it's like, okay, I guess he didn't do that much, but that's just because the player we're going to talk about next is stealing the show. In this case, let's just jump right into it because he's their entire offense. It's Saquon Barkley. All right, Saquon Barkley over 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns on just 345 carries. Basically, he's your all offense. All right, like I know AJ Brown is good, I know Devontae Smith is good, I know Dallas Goedert is good. Saquon Barkley is your offense. Full stop. I mean, like the guy is just a wrecking ball. Like what he did against the Commanders was nothing short of terrorism against our nation's capital. Like it was on that level. It was bad. If you were a Washington Commanders fan, he hurt you immeasurably in ways that you will not really be able to recover mentally and spiritually. Look, if anybody could win MVP that's not a quarterback this year, it'd be him. And we'll see if that does end up happening. I doubt it does, but it certainly is on the table for him. I'm sure he's going to get votes. He's probably the best non-quarterback player in the league. Like he's playing at an absolutely elite level. I gotta say, in those Giants years, in my mind, I always just sort of associated him with getting injured and not really being that consistent. This is the first year that he's really played the entire year and just absolutely gone off. This feels a lot like that first year with Christian McCaffrey, I guess last year, with Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers, where you finally got to see a full season of McCaffrey when he was healthy, and wow, it's a sight to behold. If the Eagles are going to win this game, it's primarily going to be because Barkley absolutely goes off. And I think he's done it against every single team in the league. He's done it in the playoffs. He's done it in the regular season. He can do it at any given moment. That first run against the Commanders where he just said, you know what? I'm actually just going to score a touchdown. That was brutal to watch for the Commander side, but it was a sign of how the rest of that game was just going to go for him. Because Saquon's just that good. And frankly, even if they had a better defense, it wouldn't really matter. He'd still be able to do stuff all over them. And whether it's, getting those extra yards for a first down when you have to have it, or picking up the easy touchdown when you get into the red zone. He's just that good, and he's their entire offense. I know I spent a lot of time talking about him. I'm not really going to talk that much about AJ Brown. He's good, but he's not Saquon. Like Saquon is the engine of the Eagles. All right, I don't think I'm exaggerating in saying that. He is their offense. Like if he's rolling, they're gonna roll. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, those guys, they're gonna be able to have their moments, and they're gonna have big plays. But Saquon is the steam engine at the front of the train. He is the one bringing the whole thing. All right, he brings the house. If he's going off, their offense is going to win it. Now, as far as who I got, this is honestly one of the hardest picks, whatever you want to call it, that I've had to make, because in my heart of hearts, all right, I don't want to see the Chiefs win. I can't live in a world where Taylor Swift is 2-0 in the Super Bowl. I can't do it. All right? I don't want to live in that world. You cannot make me live in that world. I will not eat green eggs and ham. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them with a mouse. I will not eat them in a box. I will not eat them with a fox. I will not eat your green eggs and ham, Sam I am. I will not live in a house. I will not live in a room where Kansas City and where Taylor Swift is undefeated in the Super Bowl. So fly, Eagles, fly. That's the noise an eagle makes. That's a real eagle noise that I made. It's the most realistic eagle noise ever. I bet you if an eagle heard that, it would have thought I was a real eagle. You don't even, if you criticize that, it's because you hate eagles and you hate America and apple pie and football and happiness. Look, to end this segment, this has been a crazy year of the NFL. And I wouldn't be all that surprised if Kansas City does end up winning this year. I really wouldn't. However, I just have to believe that eventually the shoe will drop. That eventually the clock will strike midnight and the Chiefs' inconsistent and just incapable offense runs into a brick wall defense in Philadelphia and just can't get the job done. Now, on the other end, I also wouldn't be surprised if Saquon Barkley runs into a brick wall and it's just a very low-scoring game that the Chiefs end up taking control over, because that's just the way they played all year. But I do think the Eagles are going to come away with the win. So fly, Eagles, fly. I can't believe I had to say that. I'm going to go throw up right now. So, yeah. That's a quieter eagle noise. Eagle that's in a library. That's right. Hi, it's me again. If you enjoyed what you just saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We do live shows every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.